This interview is being conducted for the Veterans History Project for the Library of Congress. The veteran's name is Charles Wesley Gilliam. He was born July 27th, 1921 in Spartanburg. I'm Will Hines, and recording this interview, no relation. So, Mr. Gilliam, I'd love to hear about, you said you're from Spartanburg, so I'd love to hear about growing up in Spartanburg during the Depression. What did your family do? Were they farmers? And can you talk a little bit about that?
All farmers.
What did you guys grow?
Mostly cotton and groceries, what you got to eat. Better what to eat, you know. The hogs, just enough for the family. These families don't own, there wasn't no grocery stores, nothing, supermarket or nothing. Each family was on their own. They owned the peach trees, owned apple trees, and they raised their own hogs, they slaughtered their own hogs, owned the cows, like that. It's a rough time.
So that was during the Depression. You just kind of had to make it.
Yeah.
And were y'all able to sell? How was it selling cotton during the Depression? Was it tough?
Yeah.
You just really couldn't sell it.
Yeah, couldn't sell it. My daddy, they said, like, he was waiting on to go. I've got some of the pound, but then the Depression hit. He couldn't find nobody to buy it at all. What him off the office party said. So he just lost. They said lost several bales of cotton, you know, when it accumulated up, you know.
Oh yeah. So did he just store it and try to sell it later?
I have no idea.
Wow. So you grew up. Where'd you go to school around here?
I went to mostly Roebuck High School.
Okay.
And grammar school. The first year I went to school was one teacher, she taught sixth grade, all in one room. There's about 12 students, because it's just scattered, farmers are scattered, you know, with no school buses there by the wall. So the first year I went to school, there's about sixth grade, something like that. About 12, 15 students in the whole sixth grade, you know. And then in the second grade, I went to Roebuck Grammar School. Then now I went to Roebuck High School, you know.
So you grew up going to school around here, and after you graduate, did you graduate high school?
Mm-hmm.
And so after you graduated, kind of what was that next step? What'd you end up doing?
Trying to get a job. There's no jobs available. So I graduated from high school. I got a job working for Western Union, riding a bicycle, living mess with Western Union. I got $1 a day and had to furnish my own bicycle and had to buy my own meals and like that. Then after about 2 months, there's a automobile parts house. They started calling Western Union when they had somebody could deliver a package, you know, small order. So they sent me to an automobile parts house, and there were little shade tree garages all over town, little small garages, you know. Maybe small parts, we'd live with them. So I went down there, and then they kind of liked me down at the parts house. So they hired me from Western Union, they gave me a job down there. I'm making about maybe $12, $13 a week, a little bit increase.
So a little bit more.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
So I got that in the parts house. So then then I was curious when freight would come in the door, every time I was handling dues. So I'd go in there and just start opening up boxes. I want to see what was in it. So I started opening up boxes like that. Then I started learning to put them in the bin, put them in the shelf, you know, put them in like that. So I done that for a while. That's when the ball man decided to put me on the counter. He wanted to put me on the counter inside, you know. So then I think he was making $20-something a week by then. So, but anyway, I started putting them up like that. So I done that, I guess a year or more. Then he wanted me to be a city salesman to go around the car dealers and see if we needed spark plugs, a fuel pump, or need. I go around call these this, you know, they run out of stuff. And I got to be a city salesman. Then I worked up from that. Then I met several different salesmen coming down. Said, you got too much talent. This is the wrong job for you. You need to find you something else to do. So them people ain't gonna pay you nothing, saying they will, they gonna get by this, at least they can, see. So it got my curiosity up. Meanwhile, I got married, and my wife was making $20-something a week, and I was making $20-something a week. We weren't married, but then I met her. But then, got to think about it, then I went to another parts place, was another parts house, and it's in Greenville, but too much communicating, you know. Then I got back to work back in Spartanburg. I first done truck tire recapping. Me and another fellow worked for me. He all he wanted me to go out and be truckers, solicit truck recapping, see. So I worked for him. So he's a recapper. We got to talk about it. We started getting rich, really started getting rich. Needed to know. So we talked to each other and go in business for ourselves. So why, I don't know. But anyway, I stayed 37 years. But anyway, he went to Gaffney, of all places, went to Gaffney. And why we named it Central Tire Company. I guess because it's down in the main town of Gaffney, right in the middle of town. But anyway, I bought my partner out, then I stayed in the recapping business. I stayed in business. So I told my son last night, a lot of time I wanted to quit. Tubeless tires, two-ply tires, fiberglass tires, steel radial tires, and they wouldn't bond. They'd come when they fly apart in the road for the rubber elbow with it. I went through all that stuff, you know, but I stayed with it till Michelin come along, and all of them, they improved the quality, you know. So
Yeah. So in the middle of that, you enlisted. So
no, we didn't. That was no. I went in. No, I didn't get married until I was 27 years old.
okay, so you enlisted and you got married after the war.
Oh yeah, 2 years after the war.
Okay, so what made you enlist? You know, what made you decide? And
I wanted to get off the farm.
Yeah. So you were still working on the farm,
Yeah.
and
Went to Western Union.
yeah.
I left Western Union in the parts house, and I went to well, some friends of mine joined.
Mhm.
We all worked together, not the same building, but we were always real close together. So they was going to volunteer, and I said, we just all go together.
So where? I mean, do you remember where you were when Pearl Harbor was hit?
Playing football out in the yard.
What did you think when that happened?
Well, I wasn't even thinking. There's a boy, he's in the Army, and he's home for the furlough. And he's there half playing football. And he got that call, so he had to leave, go back to camp, because he called everybody to come back. He had to leave, you know. But I remember very well we were playing football out in the yard like that.
Wow. So you decide to enlist, and what made you join the Army?
Well, because there's other boys, there's two of my friends are going.
Yeah. So was there a place that you went down to enlist in Spartanburg, or did you?
Fort Jackson.
Okay, so you enlisted down at Fort Jackson, so you took a bus down to Columbia?
No, we went in the car. My friend, he had a car, we went in his car.
Okay.
He was a couple, he was about 5 or 6 years older than we was, but he wasn't married, so we went in his car. There's a long story short, went down there, met this other fella. Yeah, that boy, he couldn't go, they turned him down. Anyway, me and him went together. So they swore him in right away in the morning. And she called my name, said, Mr. Gilliam? Yes, sir. Said, you're only 20 years old. Said, we can't put you in the Army. Said, you gotta be 21 to volunteer. Said, don't believe me, get you in the Army. Said, you got to get permission from your parents that you get in the Army. He said, I said, well, all I'm gonna do. He said, well, the only alternative I can give you is if you call your daddy, send me a telegram, give me the permission to put you in the Army. The other than that, said you can't get them. So I went there, you would pay telephone, called a friend of mine back in Spartanburg. We worked part-time together, he worked part-time with us. So he went to, from where I used to work Park House, it's 2 blocks up the street. He went to Western Union, sent a telegram, give him permission to put it in, sign my daddy's name to it. So I guess 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he called me back. Yeah, Mr. Gilliam, so we got your telegram to your daddy. He said, we ought to put you in the Army. So that's what I got in. Yet I had a little draft on me, they was gonna draft me, but yet you couldn't volunteer. They was gonna draft me anytime.
Wow. So that's a funny story. That's very interesting. So your friend just covered for you, and so you enlisted. You're at Fort Jackson. Kind of where do you go from there? Do you go to basic training?
Yeah. Okay. And that was in November. What December? In February, when we volunteered. So okay, so Fort Jackson, just go back home. So we call you. Come when we decide where to go. We don't just go back home till you hear from Army. So we didn't know to come back. So I got a notice I had to go to a place called Camp Sutton, North Carolina. It's out of Monroe, North Carolina. It's a makeshift. It was just getting your physical shape. That's all we do, your physical shape. And that's all we done up there, just getting everybody's physical shape. Stayed 3 months up there. Then outfit I was in maintenance. There's a long story about that. But maintenance, and they sent us to Camp Forest, Tennessee. And they learned everybody about maintenance, all kind of equipment, you name it. You know, they had different kind of schools, night school, they all kind of, because they didn't know what you was going to do. Army didn't know what you was going to do. They just give a little bit of everything to do to kind of round things out. So we stayed up there about 3 months. Then sent to Camp Pickett, Virginia. So we got more and more training. They just getting more and more what you're going to be doing in the Army, you know. So
Yeah.
we stayed up there.
So you were assigned to artillery at that point?
You know, we did ordnance all the time. Ordnance. Never did. So everybody volunteered. Everybody. There's no draftees in my outfit. At that time, when I volunteered, it's only take people in the automotive field. That's all it's taking. Everybody volunteered, there's no draftees. We had a Buick dealer, Cadillac dealer, Ford dealer, and nothing like that. They owned the dealership themselves. They owned it. They went in there too. So, but everybody's in the automotive. Automobile repair, welders, you name it, they could do anything. So that's what I do. So then I wound up being a parts warehouse. For parts, when the parts come in, it's always in spare parts, extra parts, you know. So I spent a good bit of time in the warehouse, in the parts department like that, you know. Then there come time all the time you got a lull, nothing to do, they find something for you to do, they find something for you to do all the time.
So is that how you got into your business after you got out of service? Is that how you got into the tire business?
It just actually got a tire business. All I knew was tire was black and round, that's all I know. My friend there, we just talked to each other, we talked to man to get rich. And we decided this, so we bought a bunch of used recapping equipment. We started from there, you know.
So wow. So you've done a lot of your training, and where do you go from there? You mentioned North Africa as kind of your first place. So did you go over to England first and then North Africa?
No, I went to Casablanca. It's a little over a mile from the seaport. See, Casablanca had seaports coming there. not many places in Africa had seaport, but Casablanca had a seaport where the supply ship could come in. So then that's where we stayed in Casablanca 10 months, cause where the ships come in, cause they was waiting on equipment. When they come in there, they was waiting on it. So you work day and night. They had big lights and cranes. They'd open up. Each box is marked a colony, wooden box. They marked so they know who it belonged to, you know. And so they'd open up in boxes and work. They'd get them out because they're waiting on. So the front line is waiting on stuff all the time. See, so we stayed down kind of seaport. Then they drove them back further away, North Africa. Then we went to North Africa, Oran, and stayed about 3 nights there. Didn't know where it was going, but got there. Found this old English ship there, somewhere to pick us up. They're going to send us to Italy. Because they seen fighting in Italy, they towed us down to Towed Italy, and they was going up the coast, you know. So we went about an Isle of Capri, and we was out in the harbor. We could see the cannons shooting off in the distance, but we were sitting out there because the ship won't dare try to unload then, because them German planes don't fool you. They smart people in Germany. They send them flyers up in there, airplane flyers. It's like daylight. So they watch when the convoys would come in, you know. So when we got up there, we got on this English ship to go to Italy.
So what was your main job typically when you were in North Africa? Would you be helping load and unload the ships and parts for cars, or?
I just got unloaded and working in the warehouse.
Yep.
Put it, identify it, and put parts number on, putting bins like it's spare parts, you know.
Okay.
So make a long story short, we could see them out, cannons is driving them, and the storm come up, and we was out there, and our ship, it was the harbor in Italy was loaded with mines, floating mines. So ours, during the night, 2:30 in the morning, boom, 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 that thing ship went into that thing, vibrated, and what it was, that ship, on the front of the ship, them 2 mines went off. I might have told your daddy, but anyway, I was, the ship we was on is a freighter. They take all this floor out and set here. Take this set of floor right here. All right. They take these out, they load the bottom first. You get that loaded up, then they put this floor here, then all this floor, see. Then they put that back floor, and that's a freighter. Because the freighter, we just slept on the floor anyway, there wasn't no lucky ship. But when they hit them mine, them elevator shaft, it sprung them open. And then boys, I was sleeping for a minute till when they do so much concussion, these floors fell, just crushed on them boys, just crushed them down there. They tore the stairway down, and I was wrapped on the floor, and right beside it, man. You talking about a country boy in Roebuck? I won't get off the ship real early. But tore the stairway down, Bob got hurt, and the divers come there next, they run a ship on the ground. So divers come there the next day and found about it where the water pushed them up against the sea and they couldn't get out. We were lost 75 million.
Mm.
So all that's still in mine. I still.
So you could have been sleeping lower.
If I'd been sleeping more, I'd have got crushed too.
Mm.
People hollering and screaming. It damaged a lot of the lights on it. It didn't damage the intercom on it, but it did a lot of the lights. But since the engine's on the back, it didn't bother them. That's when we run up on the ground. Because they told us we was going with 12 miles. They told us getting daylight, so we got to go real slow. Gonna be real slow. So we're gonna be running up on the ground when they got close to the ground.
Yeah. Is that because the ship would have sunk if it stayed in the water too long?
No, it's listening.
Oh yeah.
So before we got in, it started listing.
And you probably were concerned that you might hit another mine at that point.
We didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
We didn't know what it was. So it started lifting. So they want to get daylight. And it's real slow. We had to go real slow. So they told everybody to hold on. We're gonna run up on the ground. You get to hold on to something, you know. So we're gonna run the ship up on the ground up there. So that's when you run up on the ground. So we run up on the ground. It's getting daylight. He being a country boy, I was going to get off that ship. There's no doubt about it. So I was some of the first one to make that way to get the game plan up. We got the game plan up. I was some of the first one. Wait up. So, no doubt about it, I won't get off. Some officer grabbed me, soldier, you're not going nowhere. So you stay right there. Said nobody comes on this ship. Nobody comes on this ship. Don't let them on this ship. So you stay right there. I said, okay. So I got to see some of the divers come in, they brought some out like that. I got to see them bring out like that, you know.
Mm.
And, no doubt about it, I was going to get off that ship.
Yes. So you guys, that's pretty crazy. So that happened in Italy.
Yeah.
Okay.
But after the war, slowing down, I went further and further. Talk about Angel Beachhead, I got, in the Army, they train to do a lot of things. So they put me on one day, told me to carry some supplies of Angel Beachhead. Me and another, but they always sent two drivers. So we went to carry some supplies. They had it covered up, I don't know what was in it, but they took over. So we got up where we were supposed to deliver it. He told us certain area, he said, don't get out of this area, he said, this place full of mine. So we stayed there. And they was clearing minefield up there. You could see them up there, they were clearing mine, pow! And they had some kind of like a metal detector, I don't know what they had, but they was clearing minefield up. They said, we don't know where they at, there's still minefield out there, you know.
So you were at the Anzio beachhead.
Yeah, I got to one day visit up there, see. I wasn't in combat.
Right, but did you stay in Anzio for a little while?
No, just one day. They had to go back the same day.
Yeah. Where did you hear artillery near
Yeah,
you?
you could hear them off at a distance, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did you go after Anzio in Italy?
Went back to my outfit back in Naples. But in '72, this 15 of us went back and carried our wives back. We went back to just see how the country built back. And that was real interesting to see how the country built back. Because there's nothing left in Naples, Italy. Them Germans, they were hardly a building intact. I mean, they meant them up, and they did too.
Mm.
And some residential, all right, but downtown close to Harvard, maybe less than 2 miles from Harvard. And anything near the Harvard, there's just nothing left. I mean, you couldn't believe how they tore that place up.
Mm. Did you see any German POWs come near where y'all were?
They captured some of them, and they went to work back in Italy. They went back and done some work back there. They're so to speak concentration camp, but they're good workers. The Germans were good workers. Had a article when I saw away. They told about how talented it was the Germans was, but they'd been captured. But they still, the Americans still use them. Some of the talented, they were real talented people.
Did you bring anything back from Italy while you were there?
No, brought me memories.
Oh yeah.
I remember when Mount Vesuvius erupted. I brought me a lava rock back, but I left it a long time ago. I don't know what I'm doing. But we went back and carried our wives back, and we went back to stay a week in Casablanca. Remote Arabs. Casablanca was a modern city. It was real modern. They said that the rich French, Portuguese, and the super rich people, they left their country went over, 'cause they had pretty beaches. The pretty beaches went over like Miami here. The rich people went over and they formed Casablanca, made big modern buildings, you know, like that. And so we went back there to see it back and see the country.
Yeah.
And every day we had a 15-passenger bus, an air-conditioned bus. Every day we'd go a different direction out of Casablanca and see the country back there, you know, all the Arabs and this and that.
Yeah.
That's what we had to see. Then went to Rome and stayed in Rome. Got to see a lot of Rome. When we went back there, got to see Rome.
Yeah.
And I got to see the Pope while I was over there. And he went down his own shoulder with our army, made a wave at people, you know.
Yeah. So you go back to Naples, and what year is it at that point? Is that 44?
44, yeah.
So, and then kind of where'd you go from there? Did you stay in Naples for almost the rest of the war, or?
No, that's where I left. I stayed in Naples. Stayed in Naples till the war was over. Make a long story short, had a picture of it, don't know. Had my barracks bag, had a big old ship out there, loading up soldiers. I guess far near the mailbox, front yard, soldiers with barracks bag, waiting on to load that ship. Waiting on that ship. And I was sitting on mine, I had somebody took my picture sitting on the barracks bag. Barracks bag. But they called by different groups. So started calling that name, one by one. Charles Gilliam, report so-and-so. What the hell is going on? We're homesick, man, been gone. Report so-and-so. On the bar, didn't tell you nothing, said, so stay here. Called the other parent, called the parent. Same, I didn't tell them nothing. Homesick, gonna go home. Load us up, there's 30 something of us. Load us up in the truck, put it back in, carry us back in town, put up some barracks, strange barracks, with strange people didn't know who they was, nothing. I mean, you talking about some people getting the heart on the car. So, didn't know what happened. So the Army put out a newspaper, Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes come out, some picked up. So-and-so, people that married war brides got to go home with their husband. The single man like me, we had to stay over there. And stay 33 more days. Now you tell me getting a heart on the car. Yeah, said war brides, they married over there. So they got to put on the same ship with her. I think about 33 of us before we went married. So we had to stay with her. So,
wow.
Then I said, we got on the ship. I think the U.S. Wakefield, I think the name I come home on the U.S. Wakefield, we landed in Boston. And spent the night in Boston, and then of course, train to Fort Gordon, Georgia, and discounted down to Fort Bragg, Georgia.
So how was it coming home to see your family? Were you really excited? I mean, you said you were homesick.
Well, yeah, we'd been gone. Well, when he was in the States, didn't own a car, not too many people. Some of the parents come to see him in the camp, but my parents didn't have nothing. I didn't get to come home very little after I volunteered. So it wasn't easy on me, staying there, you know. So, but anyway, got to Fort Gordon, Georgia. So, give us $100 a piece travel expense to get home. So lucky, the two other people lived in Spartanburg, two other soldiers, so we give them we charged $15 a piece to bring from Augusta up to Greenville, you know. And I caught a bus from Greenville in Spartanburg, you know. Then I think, I don't think my parents knew I was coming, but I think I called a taxi. I live about, I probably live about 3 miles from the airport where we landed at bus station. So that's it. But he told me an angel that they would carry them supplies up there. There's a great monastery up on the hill. That's the reason Angel was like this. It's a great big hill, big mountain. So the Germans on the other side, and they was shooting straight down at the American. When I parked that truck, told us I do, there's absolutely never lead. You walking on lead, shrapnel. And that's the reason they told us don't get out of the way, see. So what happened, the Americans, and they figured out what the Germans were doing, so the Americans had no alternative. They went away and blew that monastery off that mountain so we could drive the Germans, what they did to me. And they drove it back. So we went back up the monastery. We couldn't take no pictures when they carried our wives back. We went back up there and we could park. We was on a bus, but you didn't get to go in it nothing like you just outside and couldn't take no pictures. The government, I think the Americans had to build that monastery back because they blew it off the mountain. I don't know who built, but they built a real modern. We could walk up there and we couldn't go in it, but see, it's real modern. They built it back. But I think the Americans built that monastery back. You know.
Wow.
It is.
That's incredible.
Naples, they rebuilt Naples back. Super highways, this and that and the other. So it's really interesting to go back and see it. You know.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, you were there 30 years before that. 28, 30 years before. Well, I want to thank you for your time and thank you for taking some time to talk to me and thank you for your service.
You need Marley's serial number? Not to look it up.
Oh, I will in a little bit, but I just, I'll end the interview now, but I just wanted to thank you for your time and your service. So, thank you, sir.